A warm welcome to another episode of Today's Parent, where we connect you with experts and provide you with information to make your parenting journey a bit more awesome. I'm your host, Christine Kasina. Schools are out. We are in the school holidays period. How are you feeling? Are you feeling and wondering what you're going to do with your kids for the next, not 1, but 2 months? But every school holiday normally brings a lot of anxiety for some parents. And today, we want to show you and share tips with you on how you can not only survive the school holidays, but also thrive. We have in studio Esther Mbao. She's a counselor and psychologist who's going to share tips with you. Stay tuned. Esther,
yes,
always lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Christine, to have me. Yes.
Good to have you as usual. As
Yes.
you know, schools are out. Can you imagine for a mom, a dad out there, who over the years, it's just been a dreaded period to go into the school holidays?
It shouldn't be a dreaded period, first of all, that your children are coming to stay home. First things first, who have you invested for in that house? When you buy the TV, when you buy the furniture, and you buy the beds, who are you buying for? It's mainly your children. When do they get to enjoy it? Over the holidays. So why should it be so dreadful? It should actually be a time where you look forward to and you so long for, that schools are out and I can actually have my children at home. I can spend time with them. And the fact that I go 8 to 5 to work, or I work this number of hours,
Right.
They get to enjoy what I invest. So we should stop looking at it as a dreadful period, but as a source of joy and something to look forward to every other holiday.
I think for most parents, the struggle is, what am I going to do with this little human for a whole 2 months?
Yes.
Probably they struggle with what to fill in. And they're wondering, how do I keep my child safe during this season?
Yes.
For a parent who has teens,
Yes.
you can imagine.
Yes.
So let's talk about, just demystifying how we can look at school holidays
Okay.
a bit different. And
Yes.
instead of surviving school holidays, how we can thrive during that time and bond better as a family if possible.
First things first, it's always said, failing to plan is planning to fail. And why most of the holidays fail is because we as parents don't plan for them.
For the school holidays.
Yes. So we need to plan. We need to look forward to them, not dread.
Right.
And it begins with the mind. So first things, we need to change our perception. We need to look at how do we look differently at the holidays. Do we look at it as a time where our children get to learn values?
Yeah.
We get to teach them skills, social skills, communication skills, life skills that they will need later on when they move on in life.
Absolutely.
Or do we look at it as a period where they're coming in for trouble? So first thing as a parent, look at your perception. How do I perceive the holidays? Then change that. Once you change that, then you need to sit down and say, every holiday, I need to plan for it. You also need to plan from it from a level as a parent before you even plan for your children. So even for you yourself, as the holidays are coming into play,
Yeah.
what are you planning to do differently now that your children are home? And I'm not saying you stop working. I'm not saying you quit your job and you say, no, I'm also on holiday. But can you reduce your time maybe by 20 minutes? You're home earlier. 30 minutes, you have breakfast with them. Just small things that make a little bit of difference.
Right.
Because what we normally also say in psychology, our children only need just 15 minutes. So in your busy schedule, can you plan to have 15 minutes of quality time with them now that they're home every day and as much as possible? So first thing, sit down, plan. This first, the financial aspect, I know.
So you start with what? As you've said, number one is just changing your perception,
Yes.
your attitude
Yes.
towards school holidays. So
Yes.
that's important, number one.
Yes, number one.
And then you said about planning.
Planning. And we need to plan in different aspects. The first aspect, I would say financially, because many of us, we dread it because we're thinking, I'll buy 2 kgs of unga and within 2 days, I'm told it's over.
Unga imeisha.
Yes, our kids are ever hungry when they're home, you
Yeah.
know. So the fridge is always being open, so you need to stock it up. You need to start planning for it financially and think, my kids will be home, I'll need extra food. So once you get that out of the way,
Right.
then even the holidays become a joy for you. Then you can also go to plan now for the other activities. So first things first, your financial. And you can do this by buying things before the holidays are over, or setting aside a bit more extra money during the school term
To cover for that.
To cover for that. We also need to look at holidays not as an expensive affair. You don't need to take your kids for the camps, or every other Saturday you're eating out. You can make it a time where you're saying, also as a family, we can learn to save. So even as you're planning the food and the finances, you can say, we'll do less financial activities, like taking a walk in the evening. That is free.
As a family, that's beautiful.
Yes, cooking over the weekends, Let's cook at home and let's watch a movie
Let's
at home.
make a KFC at home.
Yes, let's make a KFC at home, or let's make a pizza. That way you're teaching your children life skills, you're spending time with them, and you're also managing your finances. So it's really just looking at things in a very different perspective,
Right.
and planning. When you move from the financial aspect, you need to now go to the social aspect. Now that my kids are home for 2 months, do I want them here for the 2 months? Do I want to ship them for 2 months? Shipping them for 2 months is not the best thing, because when you ship them away for 2 months, are these people who are staying with their children for this time imparting the values that you'd want your children to have
Right.
when they're older? Are these children having a structure? Because we also keep saying as psychologists, with studies we have discovered children grow and thrive very well where there's a structure and there's routine.
Right.
So when you ship them from your house to another place, you've disrupted their routine. They don't know the familiar people, that's not familiar ground. By the time they're settling down, you've already, psychologically, they're a bit set back behind.
Yeah.
So in as much as you're taking them away for a few days, you need to prepare them first. You need to let them know where they're going, who they're going to be with, what activities they're going to and take part in.
So they can prepare.
So that they can prepare psychologically and also look forward to it and have a good time. And then also look at it in terms of the people they're going to spend time with. Are these people you trust? Are these people who have values like you have? Are these people who are safe with your children? Sometimes we need to be very careful. Some of the worst predators are in our families, sorry to say. Not many of us talk about it. But you hear about children who went to the village, and then when they're older, later on, they talk about, my mom would take me to the village, and this and that would happen. Because we didn't take time as parents to look at our relatives. Are they the best people to spend time with our
With your
children?
child, yes.
Yes, so we need to look at that in that aspect. We need to look at it also socially in terms of, will our children have time to get to build on their social skills, to make friends, to interact with their family members like their other cousins, to interact with their schoolmates out of the school environment.
Right.
These are things we need to plan in advance, and we'd make the holiday a very thriving time for them. So we need to look at holidays as a time away from books, because the other thing I need to highlight, school is out, our children don't only grow intellectually. They need to grow physically, spiritually, socially, and emotionally. So these 4 key aspects are what we need to look at during the holidays. The intellectual has been taken care of 9 months. For the remaining, is it 2 months and the other 2 months, 4 months?
Yeah.
Let's grow our children in the other areas, because they could grow intellectually, but socially they are still thinking, interacting like a child.
Yeah.
Emotionally, they are not emotionally intelligent. So they have the grades, but they're going to the workforce. They can't be accepted because emotionally they're not intelligent. Socially, they cannot articulate who they are and interact with other people. So this is the time during the holidays to grow this person, so that when they're out there, you have done your bit in every area. And this ensures that this person is growing up healthy. The other thing about school holidays, it's about play. Because play to children is what work means to us. When you don't have work, when you don't have fulfillment in your work, that's how children feel when they're not playing. So as we are planning for our children, we need to look at the place of play for them to relax
During the holidays.
And for them to grow and develop in the play. Because even during the play, that's when they learn social skills. They fight, they make up. They emotionally, they want to get angry, then they discover, no, I want to stay in this game. So learn to control your emotions, Physically, they're working out. So their muscles, they're burning the extra calories, because we also know obesity is on the rise at this point.
Yeah.
So they're also getting active and burning the extra calories. Their muscles are developing. They get hungrier. That translates to more food, And they also sleep better. So they're able to rest. And when we are also in a physical activity, our brains are taking maximum oxygen. So even their brains are developing and getting the maximum oxygen that they need for them to develop.
Right.
Yes.
You mentioned about planning.
Yes.
In this age and time where we become very digital parents, which I guess should have been even from way back when, involving kids in the decisions that we make.
Yes.
School holidays, should
Yes.
we involve them in how the holiday is going to be like?
Yes.
Involve them in the planning of this is how structure is going to look like. Should we involve them, or should mom and dad decide, you're closing on Friday from Monday, this is the new routine and this is the law. If I hear you've broken the rule, auntie will call me and I will deal with it in the evening.
That is the authoritative or dictator type of parenting.
Yes.
We've shifted from that, and we need to involve our children in the decision making that we are doing as we plan for the holidays. One thing, you're also teaching them decision making skills. You're teaching them negotiation skills. These are things that they need to maneuver and to be successful out there in life.
Right.
So we need to involve them. It's also their lives. So they need to also have a say in it. In as much as you're the final authority, let them feel like they're taking ownership of their life.
Yeah.
Because with this ownership, as they go out there, they also know how to set boundaries and to take ownership and to stand up for who they are.
Okay.
So we need to sit down. We have the plan.
What does the plan look like, by the way? If you could share with
Wow.
us, pointers as we're thinking about this holiday plan.
Yes.
How structure will look like
Yes.
during this holiday season. Not so rigid,
Yes.
not so laid back. How do you make it, what makes a good holiday plan or
Okay.
holiday structure?
What makes a good holiday structure, like I've said, it involves all the 5 aspects of a human being: intellectually, physically, emotionally, spiritually. What have I not mentioned?
I want you to start back, first of all, as we're remembering the last one.
Yes.
Intellectually. When
Yes.
you're talking about intellectual, does this mean within the structure we put aside time still for a bit of reading, extra reading books? By
Yes.
intellectual, what does that mean?
Intellectual means that just because they're out of school doesn't mean they don't read. They can read the newspaper. They can read storybooks to build on their imagination. They can also read their school books just to refresh. If you remember, you and I...
If it's that time, Mama, wait, I'm not a class 3 anymore. You
It
know how
is
to deal with that
fine.
is.
It is. Now buy them class
I'm
4
grown
books.
up.
So they also feel grown up. Let them start looking at the future ahead. Let them brush through the books, but don't force them to
Yeah.
internalize it, and it's like you're sitting for an exam the next day.
So that is what
It's
intellectual
reading
means.
for enjoyment.
Storybooks?
Yes, we need to build a reading culture, and not just reading Facebook.
I agree with you.
We need to build a reading culture of people reading for knowledge, for enjoyment,
Yeah.
and for just imagination and creativity. So allow them to explore as many books as they can. And this also means, because now we're in the digital age, you can purchase books online. So those gadgets are not just for social media. They can also be used for buying books. I know there are apps even locally where you can subscribe to and you buy books for as little as 1 shilling for a week, And
Yeah.
the children get to read as many books as possible. If not, take them to a bookstore as well. Let them buy a few books, or take them to a local library. Let them learn the art of borrowing books, of reading within a time limit and taking
it back.
that book. So that's intellectually. Let them grow in the intellectual by reading books, by writing poetry, writing stories, by drawing, by coloring, by painting, all this, by using their hands. Even it's intellectual because they have
Yeah.
to think.
Yeah, and build their
then
motor skills.
Yes, and
Yeah.
build their motor skills as well. So this also goes into the physical as well. Let them have time for play. Play is very important,
This
like
is
I
part
keep
of the
saying.
intellectual, or we've moved to another point?
Now we're moving to another. We've done the intellectual.
Right.
But the intellectual also goes with the physical, because the intellectual, you need your eyes,
Absolutely.
you need your hands,
Absolutely.
So as we've looked at the intellectual, let them now go to a place where physically they're active. They go out, they play, they cycle, they jump around, they play with water. Water is very, I know, and many parents would be like, why are you saying about water? Water is very therapeutic for children. So even when you tell them
All
to wash
ages?
dishes,
All ages?
yes, all ages, even for you and me. Water is very
love water.
therapeutic.
I love
So
water.
do I. Water and clay, that's why you find children come back very muddy. It's very therapeutic for them, especially when they play with pure clay and pure soil. They're able to release and to just have a catharsis effect of the emotions. That's why when they go out, they play with dirt and water, they come back so happy. So there used to be a tagline a while back.
That is
good. I totally agree with that.
Right.
That is very, very good for children. So what you do, have clothes. that you can allow them to get dirty in and have them have clothes where they know these ones, they're for going to a special place
Right.
or for just hanging out
Okay.
with. Yes.
Esther, so you've shared with us the first 2 points, intellectual and physical.
Yes.
We are going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll share on the other 3 points, build on them, and then you can share with parents other practical tips of not only surviving, but thriving during this school holiday.
Thank you, Christine.
We have been in studio right now. We are speaking to Esther Mbao, who's a psychologist as well as a counselor. She's worked with so many parents, and she has seen your struggle when it comes to just handling school holidays. We want to change that so that we can start thriving during school holidays. We are going to take a short break right now, and Esther will be back with more tips for you. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to today's episode of Today's Parent, where we are talking about the school holidays, not surviving them, but thriving during the school holidays. In studio, we have Esther Mbao, who's a psychologist and a counselor. She shared some tips already on how you can thrive during the school holiday time, and at this point, she will share more pointers with you. Esther,
Yes.
welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We've talked about intellectual, we were building on the physical benefits of the school holidays and how we can
Yes.
look at it a bit different.
Yes.
Share with us some more.
Physically, we're also looking now at chores. Can we be able to start giving our children chores? If you go online, there are a lot of charts that give you on age-based chores that children can do.
Right.
As children as young as 2 and 3 can do a simple chore as just taking the cup from the table to the sink, picking up their toys.
After playing.
Yes, tidying up after themselves.
Right.
You know, learning how to wash their bodies. And these chores build also on their self-esteem. Because if I'm able to make a bed, if I'm able the next day to make an egg, the next day I'm able to make a meal.
So empowering.
You know, it's so empowering. It
So
feels like I
empowering.
can take charge of myself.
Yeah.
I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And this confidence goes now even into their schoolwork and into their social life. So as parents, we need to create like a chores chart for them. And it's age-based. Start with the basic simples. Washing their dishes, clearing the table, making their bed. Even the 5-year-old, they can start making their bed. And then when they leave, just straighten it a bit. But affirm them for it. You know, doing simple things. I know many of us have house girls and nannies,
Yeah.
and that is very okay. Let the nanny start teaching these children those life skills, because when they start life, many of them don't start with the nannies and
That's
the
true.
house help.
That's true. That's true.
They need to learn these things back at home.
Yeah.
So physically, we're also looking at the house chores, and these are very good even in terms of building confidence.
Before you move away from the house chores, because I'm sure their parents are watching right now, they're feeling, oh my goodness, how could I not have thought of that?
Yes.
At what point can I get my young ones to start washing dishes?
It depends from child to child, because
Yeah.
all children develop at their own pace. But I can say as young as 2 years, start giving them small chores. My 5-year-old can now wash dishes. Fine, the cup will have a bit of
Wow.
soap. It doesn't mean he rinses it well. It will have a bit of a tasty soap, but he tries.
I
You
love
can
that.
ask him to clean the table and he will do it. Ask him, play with your toys but tidy up,
Yeah.
he will do it. I have a 15-year-old who can now cook. The other day he just cooked for me mincemeat and chapati.
Yes,
Okay, the
that's
chapatis was a war zone because the whole kitchen was filled with flour. But I was so proud that he's
Wow.
willing, you know. He does mandazis so well. And when they had talent day at school, he made mandazis.
Wow.
So it is just about working with your child as they are. And just knowing at this age, can we try and do this? 7, 8-year-olds want to try and make an egg, but they need supervision because of the fire.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
As a mother, you've just mentioned the 15-year-old, of course, is a boy.
Yes.
And you know where I'm going with this. And him, 15, is a sensitive time. He's a teenager.
Yes.
And, way back when we were told, hii ni kazi ya wasichana,
Yes.
hii ni ya vijana. How
Yes.
are you able to get it through to him that it's okay for him to be in the kitchen, trying out dishes and cooking for the family?
It starts first with me as a mother and deciding that as a mother, I'm going to make my children thrive in this life without me. Because at some point, God knows what will happen.
Yeah.
But the time I have with them, can I teach them to be independent human beings? So
Well said.
it's about the motto you choose as a mother. So what you do is you need to sit down and plan even. As a mother, as a father, what do I need to instill in my children at this point in time in life? and what do I really want for my children?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
10, 20 years, will I have covered my long-term goals as a parent? I will have become a top shot, hot counseling psychologist.
Absolutely.
But as a mother, did I have goals and did I achieve them? So we need to be very deliberate as parents.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So physically, as we were saying, give chores, let them play. This means you need to cut down on TV time and you need to cut down on phone time.
You know, that is so hard because during this whole school time, we've been telling our kids, you will get your screen time when we close school.
Yes.
And then now we've gotten to the school holiday part.
Yes.
And we need to have a new discussion.
Yes. But I like to ask people, how comes people like Bill Gates don't allow TVs in their house? You know?
Is that so?
Yes. The founder of Apple himself, God
Doesn't
rest
have an
his
Apple
soul.
TV in
His children didn't have an Apple phone until they were a certain age. Because studies have shown that the more screen time they have on these gadgets, the less their brains are developing to be what they're supposed to be. So we are
Right.
limiting their potentials without us knowing. So we are making their brains to be, sorry to say, like cabbages. So we need to limit their screen time. It is okay for them to learn
Right.
how to wade through the social media space. It is okay for them to learn how to use technology, but we need to let them know there is life outside technology. Because what has happened nowadays, we've given our children the gadgets so that we are free to do other things. But we don't know the effects that these gadgets
It's
have
having
on
on our
our
children.
children. We also need to know the limits. The limits for social media. Have we asked ourselves how comes Facebook has said our recommended age is 13 and above? Have we asked how comes Instagram only says it's recommended for 13 and above? Because at this point, before they're 13, these children are discovering who they are. They're building on their confidence. They're discovering life as it should be. And then you allow them to go into a space, sorry to say,
Yeah.
where there's no control, where there are no measures, there are no restrictions.
And they're
And
not
we know how
prepared.
it is. There's
Yeah.
cyberbullying.
Oh, there's so much online to be afraid of.
There are so many predators online, yet we're exposing them without preparing them for it. So we need to be very careful about the cyberspace, especially at this time when children have 24 hours and we have Wi-Fi in their house. TV, it is okay for them to watch. It is okay for them to have a particular program, but you also need to understand, are these programs they are watching in line with the values I want to instill in my children? Just because everyone is watching or doing it doesn't mean it is right. And it is okay for you to stand up and tell your children, no, we are not going to watch this as a family because it does not stand for what we are as a family. And in this sense, you're also teaching your children to stand up for their values when they're older.
Right.
Yes. Everything we do in this space and in this day age, when our children are young, are lessons that they will carry for life.
Absolutely.
So which lessons do you want them to carry forward?
Esther,
Yes.
as a counselor, as a psychologist,
Yes.
in your opinion, how much is too much TV time and what is enough TV time? Because as you know, our kids have an opinion. Maybe they want to, after they watch SpongeBob, then and they're very
Yes.
clever. Those shows are very clever. They say,
Yes.
coming right up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Baby Shark is coming, or
Yes.
whichever program is coming.
Yes.
How do you manage that?
Studies have shown 1 hour, at most 2 hours.
1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours
of screen time is what is recommended on a daily basis.
Does it vary for the teenagers? You know, they are forever.
No, it doesn't. Especially for them, because they have so much energy. You're keeping that energy bottled up. One day it will explode. They need to go and release that
Expend that
energy.
energy. So they need to be out.
In healthy ways, like sports,
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
the arts. That's why we're saying over the holidays, and I like what the government is doing. Move away from the books, let these children discover their other talents.
Yeah.
So the government has also realized that we're not bringing holistic people at the end of our education system.
Right.
And that's why they're saying over the holidays, no tuitions, no school, let them be.
Let them play.
Yes,
Let them be,
play.
let them play.
Yes.
Right.
So we've looked intellectually, we've looked physically,
Right.
emotionally and socially. We need to allow children to play. If you're in a neighborhood, let them get to make friends, but also know who are these friends.
So allow them to socialize.
Yes, especially for the teenagers. Who are they hanging out with? So that they don't hang out with the wrong crowd. And we have more issues than what could have been averted at the beginning of the holidays.
Right.
So let them make friends, let them go out and play. it's okay for them to fight at some point, as long as it's not physical.
Yeah.
Because even me and you learned social skills when we used to fight.
Yeah.
Then our friends say, let's make up, shake hands.
Yeah.
You
And
know, you remember
life
that time?
continues, and
And
life
then we go
continues.
back and we play. And that's how we've molded our social skills. So our children, emotionally and socially, we need to look at it also. Apart from friends, like I said, there's family to spend time with. And so you need to plan, how do they get to know their family? Because at the end of the day, family is all you have. When you lose your job, when you lose something in life, who do you run back to?
Family.
So can they build a solid foundation with family? And then lastly, spiritually. Are we building our children as spiritual beings? And I like that churches now come up with a lot of VBS and church activities over the holidays. There's a reason why this is also coming up, because we need to build the spiritual being. At the core of who we are spiritual beings. So can we build that in our children? And can they know that you believe in a higher power and this is a value you want to pass on to them? So those are the aspects we've looked at.
Very well put.
Yes.
I don't know if there are any pointers you can share
Yes.
that parents can share with their kids on then how they can combine forces and work as a team.
Yes.
Because of course, like you say, we need to involve the children. But then how do we prepare? You've given us pointers to prepare ourselves as parents.
Yes.
How can we prepare our kids so that then we work as a unit?
Yes. Number one, sit down and come up with a schedule.
Like you mentioned at the beginning.
Yes. The same way the schools have a timetable. And that's why you see children learning so well, because they're in a system. It's the same thing we need to do at home.
Right.
So come up with a simple timetable. When you wake up, make your bed, brush your teeth, have breakfast, read a book for 15 or 20 minutes, go play for 1 hour. Be very, very particular in your timetable. Like for 1 hour, this is what you're doing. For 2 hours, this is what you're doing. This is the time for lunch. This is the time for a snack. This is the time even for a nap.
Yeah.
You even need to remember to put time for them to shower. Otherwise, 3 days later, our children are just there. Have you showered? No.
But you didn't say.
When was the last time you showered? Yes. So we need to be very, very clear in a schedule and come up with a clear schedule and then let the children know. When we are home, this is the schedule.
Right.
Apart from that, if you're traveling, like I said, prepare them in advance. You can also ask them, as you're planning for your travel plans, where would you like to travel? What would make you want to travel here? So that they also learn and explore the world.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And then also in terms of the holiday, even the menu, sit down and agree with them. Can we come up with a food menu? Over the weekends, which foods would you like us to try? Would you like to learn how to
I want
bake?
to live in your house.
Oh, you don't.
There's so much democracy. But I'm kidding.
There's democracy and there's also a place where there's no
a
democracy.
balance.
There's a balance. Because at the end of the day, I'm the parent. Yes.
And with that, we have to come to the end of today's show. We
really?
run out of time. And for any parent who's watching, and even for me as a parent,
Yes.
this has been totally useful. And I know from today going forward, I will never dread the holiday season ever again.
Yes.
Be it, first time, second time, third time.
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
like I'm now well equipped. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you, Christine.
And with that, we come to the end of today's episode of Today's Parent, where we are talking about not surviving the school holidays, but thriving and making wonderful memories with your children. So when you look at school holidays, it becomes a time that you look forward to. I have been your host, Christine Kasina. This has been Today's Parent. If you're looking for more parenting resources, go to www.supermamas.co.ke. We have been in studio at Little Cribs, the home of fun, exciting, and durable kids furniture. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And for other shows that you have missed, head on to Switch TV YouTube channel and you'll find any other episode that you have missed. It's been a pleasure having you. We look forward to having you next time. Please stay tuned.